Hello, everyone. This is Lisa Mizels. Welcome to the Empowered Living Show, where guests come on and talk about how they became empowered and their challenges that might be the same as what you're going through right now. So it really helps to feel like you're connected and supported. And the guests also share about how they help other women become empowered through using their gifts and insights and what they do in their business. So I'm really excited today because we have Victoria Allen talking to us about Dream Yourself Awake. And I love this topic. We've talked about it before, and it's fascinating. So I know you're going to really enjoy this call today, this video show today. And let me just read you a little bit about what Victoria's going to talk about. She's going to talk about dreams and creating a dream practice, which is something very unique. And I'm really excited that you're going to share that with the listeners. She's going to be talking about women's empowerment and the Dreaming Collective and the Dream Stream. So you'll learn all about that. And let me just tell you a little background on Victoria. Victoria Allen is a psychotherapist, a mentor of minds, a tender of dreams, and a yin yogi. She's the creator of Raise Your State, which offers private counseling and couples counseling and dream work and spiritual retreats around the world. It's amazing. I'm definitely going to get to one of those. She's also a steward of the Dream Stream, a women's dreaming collective that helps women break out of patterns that no longer serve them and break free to follow their heart, express their truth and their deepest desires. And she champions women to be aware, live awake, and do what they're here to do. Amen for that. Thank you so much, Victoria. I'm excited you're here. Yay, so nice to see you.
Me too. Good to reconnect with you.
I know. So your main work is with women, but I noticed that you're doing a little bit of relationship work now too.
Yes, I've been doing relationship work for years and years, and yet more and more women come to me than men. I have some men clients, I have couple clients, and yet I'm really feeling a need to move into more women's work. I mean, even my retreats are 90% women. Awesome. And now I'm exclusively doing retreats for women only. I think it's time. It's time for women to feel more empowered than they ever have. Everything's changing. Our consciousness is changing. And I think it's important. It's important work. I love it. I love seeing women pop out of places where they've been constricted and living in fear, and they're able to actually leave corporate jobs and move into what they really love to do. And I help them through those kinds of transitions.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. And maybe a little later you can tell us about your retreat, your last retreat that you had.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us what it means when you say dreaming yourself awake.
All right. Well, they really come from the base that our mind dreams all the time. When we're awake, we dream this reality. And of course, when we sleep, we have nighttime dreams that really are messages from our inner self, messages from our unconscious self that come up for us to take a look at when we look at our dreams and our dream messages. And once we're able to really dream and see those unconscious messages and bring them into our waking life, I'll say, i.e. waking dream, we're able to create a more conscious life, more conscious choices. We have increased will to refrain where we need to refrain and act where we need to act. So I work with the sleeping dream, helping women unmind those messages from the sleeping dream. And I also work with the waking dream. What's working for you? What's not working for you? And really one of the biggest pieces here is to question your belief system. And once you really question belief system and start rooting out those limiting beliefs, you start consciously dreaming, I'll say, higher and higher levels of well-being into your waking life. So the mind is dreaming night and day.
Yeah, so you use this as one of your many healing modalities.
I do. I learned the dream work, oh gosh, over 25 years ago, and learned it from a man who actually dreamt how dreams work. And I was a little skeptical at first. I mean, there's all kinds of information about dreams, and I'd been trained as a therapist with some dream work. But when I really learned this dream work and started applying it to myself, I was really blown away. And I began to share it with my clients and work with them. And I began to see the potency of being able to see what's unconscious, which is most of us. Most of our mind is unconscious. So we're operating from a little bit of our mind consciously. So the more we bring up that unconscious, the better our lives get. So as I learned it, I found that I just knew that it worked, and began doing small groups of women's dreaming circles. And now I'm doing women's dreaming retreats. And I do a couple different kinds of dreaming. We do dream interpretation. I think that's important. And then there's another process I do where women sit in circle and they share dreams, and they respond to dreams from the level of their intuition or their instinct, their feeling, and it really brings up so much richness for the circle and for women individually. So I'm just passionate about this work.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, a fleeting thought came through my head as you were talking about, getting rid of limiting beliefs and being able to move beyond all of that with your work. Do you have an example, a story you can tell us about one of your clients that maybe, went from feeling stuck to fighting?
Well, how about I talk about my own story?
Yeah. Yes.
I was at a point in my life where I was recognizing somewhat the ways I was pushing down my expression. I was afraid to lose this relationship I was in, and I just wasn't speaking up and speaking what was true. And I knew it, and yet I had a lot of fear because I didn't want to lose the relationship. And I think that happens for a lot of people. A lot of marriages go dead and under, and because people just don't speak up and become honest and forthright with their expression. So during that time, I had a dream, and I was shown that I may have a spot of cancer on my chest. And long story short, yes, I had breast cancer. I feel like that was a direct reflection of me not fully living me. That was my experience. And my dream showed me breast cancer very, very early, long before the doctors could even recognize it on mammogram. And 9 months later, the doctor called me back and said, let's recheck. And there it was. So I saw it when I say the inner planes, the inner planes are really an energetic level of consciousness we see in our sleeping dreams. And so I was able to see that coming. And then I made a big life change after that, a real life change to heal on every level, to include fully bringing myself forth.
It's so important to do that because my mom died of breast cancer. And she was really young. She was 49 when she died.
Wow, that's very young.
What she told me, I mean, through her whole experience, she knew that it was because of her thinking. She knew that it was because she felt trapped. She knew it was because she wasn't doing what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And her awakening, her, really knowing the truth, was a couple years before she passed. But I mean, she came full swing where she was not healed, but I guess not unconscious anymore, which was a really good thing. But knowing before that happens, like you said, knowing before that happens so that you can make those shifts, being aware of where your blockages are, being aware of when you're shutting down, when you're feeling like you can't breathe because you don't want to say something to piss somebody else off. That's the stuff that you work with, right?
Right. Exactly.
That's really, really important stuff. And so if a woman was to begin to open up to her, her dreams for guidance, how would you say that? I mean, how would you guide somebody to start that?
Okay. First of all, one of the things I say is when you start paying attention to your dreams start paying attention to you. And what that really requires, I encourage people to start by doing dream incubation, which is to write a letter to your inner self in your journal right before you go to sleep at night. And you're writing a letter to your inner self asking for information to know what you need to know. And you can say, in a dream tonight, what I need to know to come closer to you. You're talking to your inner self.
Yeah.
You might call that God, universe, whoever that higher intelligence is for you, how you conceptualize that. So once you start writing down dream assignments, that's a first step. And after that, it's important to write down, journal everything that comes through the dreams as much as possible. If you have a dream and wake up at 2 a.m. and say, I'll remember that in the morning, I'm going to say, no, you won't. I don't. You have to catch them and write them or they're gone. You go back to sleep and another dream cycle starts. So there's a lot of things you can do. You mentioned earlier that I'm the steward of what I call the Dream Stream. It's a women's collective of dreamers. And on our website, there's an entire description of how you begin a dream practice, how you start looking at your dreams. And I don't believe you can go to dream books for symbols. If you dream, like for instance, Lisa, if you dream of, let's say, a green lamp, and I dream of a green lamp, and when I say, what's a green lamp to you, Lisa, what would you say?
It's a light. It's a green light.
A green light. Do you have any associations with a green light?
No, just the stop and go.
Okay, so that might represent green light, go. Someone else, I might say, well, when I was a young kid, my grandmother had a green light. And I remember when I knocked it over and everybody got upset with me and I was so humiliated. So I have a whole story about the green light, and you do too. And this is the power of looking at our own associations in our dreams rather than going to a dream book and saying, what does a green light mean? You don't have the same connection. Yeah. Because as you answer your own associations, you drop deeper into a lot, your memory, your wounds, it brings up everything, to include your creativity and all the messages that you really can receive from your deepest inner self.
And what if somebody says, well, I don't ever remember my dreams?
I hear that a lot, actually. We have anywhere from 4 to 7 dreams a night. Everyone does. People even say, I don't dream. And yes, we do dream. And so I believe that some of us are sort of more naturally have tendencies to dream and remember our dreams, and others of us don't. We maybe do it differently. We may be more conscious in the waking dream and able to take actions in a different way than someone maybe who gets more messages in the sleeping dream. You can definitely enhance your dream recall. There's some specific techniques to do that. And generally, as I said, if you really ask for your dreams, start, making that, really holding a strong intention that you're going to start this practice. It's, I would say, the strongest of all of my spiritual practices. And I've done a lot, I've done a lot of different things. And I'm a regular meditator. However, I feel like the dream messages keep bringing in more consciousness and more light into myself and into my life.
Just having that knowing, that secure knowing, that validation that sometimes we look outside for.
Yes, and that's the power of dream work, is like you don't have to go to anyone else for your answers. You have to really decipher your dreams.
Right.
And I help people learn to do that. In fact, the women that work with me in dream circles, I call them dream pods, they start learning how to interpret each other as they help each other, bring the messages up. So it's great to see them call each other and say, we worked on this dream together. What do you think? So it's good.
That's great. Yeah. So with the women you work with, what kind of challenges do they work through? What comes up for them?
I hear a lot about relationship challenges.
Yeah.
I feel like relationships are pretty challenged in our stressful world and changing world. So I do hear disconnection relationship. And also I just hear women talk about how overwhelmed, how saturated they are with all the things they have to attend to in their lives. And that's incredibly stressful. And, I'd say many of us, I think I'm a recovering superwoman trying to do it all. I don't believe it. I don't believe you can do it all. I believe you can do your best at doing a lot of things. And you have to find those lines where, this is a yes and this is a no. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. And really that's what creates more a sense of well-being. And so I'd say overload is a big one. And also I think we women are so programmed to hear that should voice that tells us what we should do, which is a lot of obligation. And it comes out of our programming. And I really go to work with helping people get rid of their shoulds so that they can just authentically be in their moments and do what they need to do, follow themselves. So those are the main things I think I see with women. Plus, I do see women wanting to shift their careers. They've been educated, or they're doing something that they don't really have a lot of passion around, and sometimes that's okay. If you're making good money and you don't have passion in your work, but you have passion in other things, that works too. But a lot of people wanting to get out of their professions.
I think it's just that same feeling of being boxed in or trapped, and like you can't express your creativity freely if you're doing somebody else's work.
That's true.
What that's my take on it. It's limiting. It's limiting your, as you're growing limitless. It's kind of that push and pull that that you feel.
Yeah,
that's great. So just the world that we live in right now, the overwhelm that we have, the exhaustion. I remember when my kids were little, I was neurotic. I was neurotic about taking everything up and making sure you can't do it all. You can't vacuum the house and pick up do everything. But I was, I thought I could, or I thought I should. I thought that was what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And it drove me nuts. I was an exhausted, overwhelmed, burnt out girl. I just, that's what it leads to when you're not able to separate what is important and what's not important, and let go of, like, if you had a sick child, everything that didn't need to be done would go to the wayside. That's kind of what you need to just focus on, what absolutely has to be done, and the rest of the time, spending it on what you want to do.
Right.
Yeah. So dreams help by you becoming aware of what you want to do, but also being able to tune into the guidance that you get. Is that right?
For sure. Your dreams are going to show you a little bit of everything, like where you are right now. Maybe you're not aware that you've got this sort of seething anger going on, resentful, and it'll come up in the dreams and you go, wow, I didn't realize, but yes, I am. So I think it tells you a lot about what's going on currently, right here, right now, and gives you guidance for a lot of different things. I've gotten so much guidance from my dreams, to include I'm to be teaching dream work. That came through a dream.
That's awesome. Yeah. I can see where that would be really, just super valuable to have that, like I said, that extra validation, that extra information that is from you, that is, it's comforting to know you're on the right path, because a lot of women I see are like, they want to know what their purpose is. They want to know what their path should be. What is their real calling? Yes. And they're looking for validation everywhere but within. and
Right.
it's only within.
Right.
Yeah,
That's true. That's so true.
that's great. So let's talk about some actions that women can take. Oh, wait, before we do that, I want to ask you a question. What about recurring dreams? Like when you wake up, you have a dream, you fall back asleep, and you're dreaming the same dream, but it continues on. What is that? You know anything about that?
Yeah, there's a couple different things. First of all, I hear a lot, people have recurrent dreams. It's like, I've had this dream for the last 15 years and it comes periodically. It's always a little different. And that's really, that's a big knock from your unconscious saying, wake up, get this dream, and so that'll be one. Also, when you're dreaming at night, you get really a message. I'm going to say a message from what I call light or all intelligence that comes in early in the night. And it comes in actually through our pineal gland in our brain, and it hits all levels of our brain, giving us signals and information through the light that comes in.
Oh.
And that light will attempt to tell you what you need to know. And often in the same dream that kind of keeps going on and on and on, or maybe you'll have 4 dreams, but they're all connected to the same message that is coming in. So I'd say if you're having that, it's a listen up time.
Ah, great. Good news. I can see where this would be super healing, especially, going back to what you were saying when women find out that they're really uncovering their resentment and their anger, and that they didn't know that
Yes.
they're holding in their body.
Yes.
And you could be holding that in your body, and that's what makes you sick.
Yes.
If you don't know.
Exactly. And when I had breast cancer, I used my dream work to guide me to healing. And I was shown all kinds of modalities, what I'm to eat and not eat. I was really given some specific information. I went through a year of alternative healing using my dream work. And that was a blessing to have. It's like, I don't need to go out there to ask what I need to do. Of course, I was doing that. I was reading everything possible. Like, I just wanted to heal, but I was really listening to the deeper messages inside.
Wow.
And the dreams are the quickest way. I mean, there's, the body is an incredible barometer of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that speaks to us if we're in tune with it, right?
Yeah. Listening. That's what I always say, is listen to your body's whispers.
Yes.
That's where you need to be. So, let's talk about action steps that women can take if they are, if they want to increase the quality of their life, if they want to increase their maybe, just feeling better and being more at peace with their life as it is.
Well, the word I use, I think I've coined it myself, called your should master. I say everybody's got a should master. You got to fire that guy, that girl. And so you go about, taking a look at, okay, I should go do this, and take a look at, what's the beliefs about it, and really checking in more deeply with the body. When you say, I should go do this versus this is what I want to do, what goes on with the body, so that you have that to register. You're going to feel it, feel the upliftment, you feel the drag, and you start following that upliftment. And even if that means that someone's going to be, unhappy with you or displeased with you, ultimately you'll be pleased with yourself. And once you have that internal validation, no, it never feels good to let other people down. That's not what I advocate, but getting clear with your clear boundaries and your firing your should master is what has to happen if you want to be healthy and free and following really your integrity, because your integrity is smart. It tells us what we need to do and what we don't need to do.
Yeah.
Our mind is not so smart.
Right. That's the should. That's the should master.
Right.
Our mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And listening to where you have your energy, where you have that, like you said, that upliftment. Is it, and where you feel so constricted and fearful, and why is that? So when you're talking about dreaming, you're talking about the waking dream and the sleeping dream. Tell us more about the waking dream and maybe some things that we can do while we're conscious or not conscious, living, walking awake.
Waking dream. I think we actually need to expand our awareness to live a better waking dream. The awareness of our behavior, the awareness of our reactions. I think that's a good place to start. Everywhere you have a reaction to something, every place you judge something harshly, you got to take that back in and check in with yourself. The mind is a projection screen. What we see out there is what's in here. And so the more we clean our projection screen, the less we project everything out there. And ultimately, we just see the beauty of life. And there's a lot of grace, and there's a lot of love, and there's a lot of possibilities. But when the mind is, the projection screen is what we have in the mind, those rigid beliefs, those wounds, those limitations in our mind. That's what we see outside. If we're not safe inside, we see unsafety outside. And so that's the waking dream. And, I have to give a little shout out for my first spiritual teacher, Miguel Ruiz. He wrote the 4 Agreements. That book has been amazing. It's the base of what I work with. 4 little agreements that are not easy to live by, but they are spot on. They really help you retrieve energy from your programmed mind and bring you into a life of really strong integrity. And I was one of Miguel's teachers early on when he was just beginning to kind of spread his light out into the world. And I had people calling me saying, well, I've read this 4 Agreements, but I don't know how to do it. It's hard. And it's like, yes, it is, but they're simple, they're clear. And that's, I would say, the best way to work with the waking dream is to follow those 4 agreements.
Can you tell us what they are?
Yes, be impeccable with your word, mainly to yourself. That means no self-judgment. Yeah. Be impeccable with your word. And that will bring back so much energy if you just do that. Take nothing personally, because the truth is nothing is personal. Everybody dreams their own dream. And even if whatever they say to you, even if you've done that, if they're blaming you and mad at you and hating you and telling you how bad and wrong you are, you just know that that's their dreaming mind talking to you, and not take it personally. Now, you may want to respond and say, that doesn't feel so good. But when you really don't take things personally, a lot drops away. The other one is make no assumptions. The mind is always spinning in assumptions. And so it's got this hidden voice inside that's assuming everything. And it's really aborts intimacy, because when we stop assuming, we start asking questions, and we become intimate with ourselves and with others. So that's a powerful agreement. The last one, just always do your best. And, we hear that, just do your best. But really, when you get down to doing your best and honoring the truth that you're always doing your best, even when sometimes your best lags because you haven't had a good night's sleep, or and other times when you've really cultivated your energy, you're strong, you're right there. But learning what that means to do your best really helps people get rid of perfectionism, which is a big challenge with the mind.
Yes, and observing, like doing your best, taking, for instance, a night when you haven't had the best sleep, doing your best that next day may not be the best of your best. It may not be the best that you do every day, but it's not judging, oh, I should do this and I should have done this, and and looking at the stuff. It's observing, oh, this is making me feel pretty crappy. Maybe I better work on getting a better night's sleep, instead of feeling really guilty or really bad about what you did or what you could have done, right?
Exactly. It's like, forgive yourself, give yourself a little grace, a grace lift, and just go, wow, okay. And then just strive to do your best from there on.
I love that. A grace lift.
A grace lift. Lisa, listen, my computer is about to go under. Can I run and get my cord?
Oh yeah, go for it. I'll pause the recording real quick.
Oh.
And I think, Maggie, you had a question.
Yes. Victoria, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
My question is more about daydreaming. What is there a difference, or is that something that people do? Is a daydream just something that people are just kind of just more thinking than, because I know for me, like, I'm one of those people that never remembers their dreams, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I was just curious about the daydreaming.
You know, you might look at that in a few different ways. I mean, sometimes we daydream to avoid what's really going on. That's one way, kind of an avoidance, daydreaming, just spacing out because whatever's going on is not what we want to be with. And yet there's a way to actually dream into imagination and heighten your dreaming, where you can do awake dreaming. I put people sort of into a meditative space where you begin to dream, let's say, dream something you have desire about, and you picture it and you see it and you feel it and you add energy to it. So there's really a way to master dreaming in those ways that you see what comes up, see what sensations come up in the body as you're dreaming a new creation, dreaming a new thought, dreaming like, what do I need to do with this crazy friend of mine, or whatever that is. And so you can purposely do what I call daydreaming imagination. But what I'd say to you is do some dream incubation and see if you can get some sleeping dreams, because they're there. I don't know if that answered your question, Maggie.
My question, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. And so that's a good segue into the next question I had, which is about your retreats. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about what occurred on your last retreat, and then when your next retreat is, and tell us a little bit about your retreats, because I know you do. That's what you do. That's what you're,
right.
That's what you like to do.
We just had a retreat in Ojai, California, which is right here near LA. And I've just scheduled another one for November 10th, 11th, and 12th. It's a 3-day retreat. It was amazing, and I'll tell you why. I had a range of women from like late 20s to maybe 60, early 60s. And one of the processes that I do in Dream Circle is that everyone shares a dream, hopefully the night before, but if they don't, they bring a dream with them. And like I would express the dream to you, and then you would tell me, gosh, when I heard this dream, this is what awakened in me. So we go around the circle and everybody shares a dream, and then everybody responds to every dream. It's quite a process, but what it brings up is magical. I had women who were frustrated with their teenage kids and didn't know what to do with them. There were some rebellious kids. And then I had some of the younger women go, I was your rebellious kid. And then they had a dialogue. This is what I needed from you. And so there was a lot of conversation back and forth there. Every subject you could think of comes up in Dream Circle, and it touches women in beautiful ways, where they have a memory of something really sweet and sacred and wonderful, or they have a recollection of a trauma that can come up and be healed in the circle. It's so connecting, and actually people did not want to leave. We had a great weekend. I also teach restorative yoga, so we go into the body. I teach some processes around holding the space of love and how to do that. So I do a little bit of everything. We actually worked with the shadow of our psyche as well. We did some processes around that. Until we can bring up that shadow and start to embrace it all, we are limited. So that's what goes on our weekends. And then we have fabulous food, and we have a hot jacuzzi and a cold pool, and drink coffee out underneath the trees. And it's retreat, it's fun, it's joy, it's tears. And what I believe is that no one leaves without a level of shifting awareness and transformation. I don't believe women can get together for 3 days and really not have a transformational experience. It's like love does the work. Show up and open yourself and allow that love to penetrate you and open you. And so I have so much fun. The women have great time. And I've been doing trips in different parts of the world. Now that I'm deciding to do things more locally. It's easier on me, for one thing. And it's just a magical time. I feel like women really need to be with women. We can have male partners, and I think that's great, but women with women, there's just a substance, a wholeness, a healing that comes up that's so powerful.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I wanted to say earlier, this, the Empowered Living Show is not it's not a man bashing. It's not what it's about, right? It's about women coming together and being able to nurture and heal and bring that energy to the planet.
It's so true. I'm glad you said that. I'm starting a class this fall called Lean Into Loving, and it's for women only. And I feel like we women, many of us who've been able to be out in the world, handling a lot, using our male energy to act, really bring that home, and it doesn't support our men. Men really need to hold that polarity in relationship as women can hold the feminine polarity. There's juice there. There's juice in polarity. And when you bring your man self home from being at the office all day and maybe being in charge of everything, you cannot do that in your home. And so I'm really wanting to minister to women who want to bring more feminine energy into the relationship, which will enhance everything. It's a power position. It's not some weak, surrendered place. It's actually a powerful surrender to know what that's like. And I live that. I have great polarity with my husband. It keeps our relationship intimate and passionate and alive. And so I'm watching my work, my dream work, start to go into, oh, this is the next thing I really want to do, is help women love these men and empower these men instead of competing with them with their own male energy.
Yeah, perfect. I love that explanation. It's fantastic. Fantastic. And when is that going to be starting?
When is it? September 15th, I think, is the date. Yes.
Okay, so you've got that in September, and then you've got your retreat in November.
Yes, and my September date, it's going to be a 9-week teleclass, so people can call in. I'm advertising, I'm saying, we're going to talk. Women, we are just going to talk, and I'm going to give some guidelines and some support, and we'll see what we can create together to bring more love into our relationships.
That sounds amazing. That sounds really amazing. I love the name of it too, Lean Into Love. That's perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you? And we'll have all of the information for Victoria on the Empowered Living Facebook group in the file section. So all your website and the replay and all of that will be in there. And did you have something that you wanted to, do you have a free gift to offer?
Sure, I do. My website is called Raise Your State, like raise your state of your mind or your heart or your consciousness. So it's raiseyourstate.com. And that's where all of my offerings are. And my Dream Stream, which is a membership site, it costs $19 a month for a lot of information, podcasts, tools. If you go to dreamstream.com, I would love you to download the free tips for conscious dreamers. And so it's dreams with an S and then stream. There's 2 S's in the middle. So dreamstream.com, you can get a free gift, which is an ebook about how to start a dream practice.
Yeah, that sounds good. I was going to do that last time and I forgot. I have to do that.
and sign up for the Dreamstream and we're having fun on the Facebook page. I've got a closed group Dreamstream Facebook page. And so the women are getting lessons on the website and access to the website, but once they sign up, but then we're having fun on the Facebook page connecting.
Oh, yeah, that sounds fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this information. I always learn more and more when I talk to you. So yeah, this is great. And it's something that I don't know anybody else that's doing this kind of work. Really unique everybody's unique, right? You bring all of your experience and the richness that you have gone through in your whole life, right, to this. So
it's really all I can do is bring myself, right?
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being here. Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I just want to say thank you so much, Lisa, for having me on. I'd love to share my work. And I'd love to offer, tools for women to live their best selves, to do what they're here to do, which is basically, women say, I need to know my purpose, like there's some kind of form, and I'm not even sure there's form. I think our purpose is to live our best self, to be awake, to be aware, to love, and to bring that onto the planet.
Yeah,
so,
to be.
That would be my last message. Be happy, be happy.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Maggie, for being here always as well. All right, everyone, have a great night. And the information will be on the Empowered Living Facebook page. So you can join. It's free, it's public. Come on down.